So I welcome you, Nate, and you will give your own introduction as per our way of doing things. Our guests give their own introductions because uh, you people are so knowledgeable and so full of experience that I may not be able to cover all your merits. All right. So without any further ado, let's start with you.
Yeah, sure. Well, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be working with Pakistan again. I've been there multiple times. Actually, Pakistan is the country that I have visited more than any other country in the world. So it's always good to work with Pakistani students. My name is Nathan Duggans, and I'm the international recruitment manager at Colorado State University. Just to give you an idea of the type of university we are, we're a large public institution. We have about 35,000 total students, about 80 different bachelor's degrees, 60 different masters, and 20 to 25 PhD doctorals. So um, pretty much anything that students are looking for, we have it. We give scholarships, we give credit for A-level courses. We can get into that a little bit later. So I'll stop my introduction now because I know we got a lot of questions to get to, and I'll pass it back over to you.
All right. So I will. There's a seat right behind me which is empty right now. This is called the hot seat. Anyone who wants to ask a question will come here, and of course I'll be asking questions as well. So the first question comes from Shabia.
Okay.
My very first question is that why should I choose to study in USA rather than in Pakistan? Because I think Pakistan is my country. Why should I leave my country and come to USA?
Yeah. Well, first off, I commend you for being the first one in the hot seat and asking the question. That's that's not the easiest thing to do. So why the USA? Why would you leave your home country of Pakistan and come to the USA, or why would you leave Pakistan and not go to say like Canada or the UK or another country? I, I I'll answer that a couple different ways. I think kind of sometimes the blessing and the curse of the United States is how big it is and how many options there are. I know Pakistani universities a little bit, but just in the term of volume of universities that we can offer. Do you want a large university in a small city? Do you want a small university in a big city? Do you want a mid-sized university in a large city or a small town? I mean, what you're looking for from an environment, the United States can offer any of that. Like, where do you want to live? What type of life do you want to live outside of the classroom? And then on top of that, I mean, anything from engineering, agriculture, business, whatever specialty you're looking for, there's probably going to be a school in the US for that. Um, and then also, and again, I'll say this and kind of let you decide, or the listeners decide, if it's a value add. But if you compare us to, say, like the UK, for example, we have 4-year bachelor degrees, they offer 3. And I'm not saying it's better or worse, but structurally it's a lot different, where the US gives you kind of a year to a year and a half to decide what you want to do. Because we're asking 18, 19-year-olds to come in and decide what they want to do for the rest of their lives, and they probably don't know. I mean, I would say the majority of students in the US change their major at least once, if not twice. So our education system is structured in a way that allows you to explore. Um, Whereas other countries, because it's shorter time frames, they kind of make you commit a lot sooner. And again, I'm not picking on other countries. I got friends and family that went to school outside of the US. Um, but in the US, we do give you that flexibility to maybe decide what you want to do, because you might think you know what you want to do, and then you take a class and it may not be what you want to do at all. So I would say, from an environmental standpoint and kind of a educational structure standpoint, those might be some advantages of the United States.
All right, so I was saying that since we're studying in an A-levels college, I wanted to ask how should we shape ourselves to get into universities in USA?
That's a great question. Um, and I'm going to give an answer that I never like to give. and that is it depends. Because there are some universities out there that will say if you want to get admitted, you have to take certain A-level courses. Um, we and again, I would say the majority of institutions in the United States probably aren't looking for any specific coursework. The only programs that we are looking for specific A levels in at Colorado State University are engineering. If you want to go into engineering, you have to take certain courses. But anything else, any other major, you can take whatever you want, and we're just looking for marks of usually B or higher in those courses. Um, so I think the higher up the ranking ladder you're looking, and so let's say top 50 schools in the US, yeah, they are probably looking for specific coursework in order for you to apply and get admitted. But for a lot of the universities in the United States, they're not. We're just looking for certain overall averages. And if you obtain those averages, your chances of getting in are very, very good. So my advice to that question would be, if you're looking at certain universities, I mean, ask those questions. Email the admissions office and say, hey, I want to apply. Here's what I'm taking in A levels, and I want to study whatever major. Is this going to work? And I think the vast majority of the time, you're going to find out that it is going to work.
Do grades matter? And if grades matter, do I need to take part in extracurricular activities and maintain my sports as a part of studying? While studying, should I need to maintain my extracurricular activities?
Yes, next question.
So in this fast-paced world, you just said that the universities aren't looking for any specific coursework, if I'm not wrong, right? So, and then you also mentioned that there are top 50 universities which might be looking for the coursework. So don't you think that is the pre-defining moment where they are in the top 15 while not others are who are not looking for any coursework?
All right, if I can just summarize the question, Wes is asking that universities that are in the top tiers, they usually have some coursework requirement. They usually have some subject combination requirement, as compared to universities which are not that competitive. So first and foremost, is this view correct? And secondly, if this is true, then why is it so?
Um, I mean, for the most part, I think it's correct, right? And so maybe I'll answer the why is that so. If you think about top tier universities, they just get so many applications, right? So many applications, and a lot of them, they choose to be. It's competitive by choice, right? If Colorado State wanted to be more competitive, we could make that choice, and we could make our admissions processes a lot harder. But it's not who we are. It's not our core values. We want to be a university of access. And so we give students an opportunity to be admitted at a higher rate than, say, other universities. So a lot of the top ones, like, why do they want that? It's just a choice. It's a very simple choice, and a lot of it's a choice because they get so many applications. Let's UCLA, for example, University of California, Los Angeles. I'm assuming that they get over 100,000 applications a year. I don't think that would be too crazy to say. So, I mean, out of necessity, they have to be harder to get into. They can't just let everybody in, right? And so that kind of answers your question. The Ivy Leagues, right? They want to maintain a certain level of prestige, so they choose to require certain course requirements and be academically. You have to be an academically strong student. So a lot of it's by choice, and a lot of it's out of necessity, just because of the volume of applications. Versus, I mean, I'll come back to us. I mean, we get about 30,000 applications a year total, and we get about 2,000 international applications every year. And so we have the ability to be more flexible and admit more students um, than other institutions and not be as stringent on course requirements. It's and I would say, and I would speak for other universities like Colorado State, it's not because we're not, not a good academic school. It's just a matter of kind of our values and what we want to do. I mean, we were founded as a place of access. We want to give students the opportunity to attend and get a good education, whereas other universities might choose to be more competitive, where they maybe deny more students than they admit. So a lot of it comes out of kind of the goals of the institution, kind of the values of the institution, and also application volume. I hope that answers your question.
I wanted to know how diverse is the community since like we hear every day about the rumors of the cases of discrimination and racism. Like how welcome we are in an international university.
Sure. So I'll answer that kind of at different levels. I'll talk about Colorado State University specifically, and then I'll kind of expand out and talk about the state of Colorado. So I think in general, when you look at large institutions like ourselves, I'll define a large institution as being 20,000 students or higher. Let's define it for the sake of this conversation. When you think about that, there are so many students on that campus. So our campus, for example, we have students from every single state in the United States, all 50, and from over 100 different countries. So just from a social standpoint, when you have that many different walks of life and that many backgrounds combined together, um, you have to be open. You have to be open. You have to be accepting of others, because if you're not, it's just not going to work for you, because we just have too much diversity here. Um, now historically, in my experience, what a lot of international students do is they come to campus and they join the Pakistani student group, and that's who they hang out with. And I understand that, right? It's familiar to you and it's comfortable. And one thing that I would say in the US or maybe other countries is that if you go to school in the United States, let's say at Colorado State, and you want to interact with other cultures, you can do that. Every opportunity will be made available to you, but you have to choose to do it. Like, I'm not going to come and drag you out of your room and say, hey, you need to go attend this meeting, or you need to go talk to this person from Texas and learn more about them. Like, I'm not going to do that. I mean, we have resources set up for you, but you have to choose those resources. um, so that's what I'll say about kind of universities. The state of Colorado, I mean, we have a pretty large Hispanic population. Down in Denver, our capital, there is actually a pretty decent South Asian population. Um, but for the most part, it's white. It's a white state. Um, if you compare it to other states, I'm trying to think of other like major population centers in the US: Dallas, LA, Miami. Yeah, those are some of the biggest cities in the country that are going to be way more diverse than us. It's kind of the diversity, or most of the diversity, is on the coast, and then as you get to the center, it becomes less and less diverse. That's changing in Colorado. Colorado's becoming an incredibly popular place to live because it's just got such a high quality of life, because it's very naturally beautiful. Um, I mean, will you be discriminated against? We don't have high volumes of that on our campus. Uh, again, because the diversity on our campus is so high. And I think that you'll find that on a lot of university campuses. There's people from all walks of life. So there's just not a high volume of discrimination because so many backgrounds are represented on the campus.
Inclined now. So I wanted to know, like yesterday I was reading an article about UK. So they have one of the largest department in physics, which would be my program if I join Colorado as well. So how well are academic research centers or libraries there? Like how will we be benefited from academic perspective?
He wants to know about research opportunities, especially in physics.
especially in physics.
Yes.
So I mean, I'll admit I can't speak to specific research opportunities across our programs because we have about 200 of them. Um, what I can tell you is that uh, Colorado State is a tier 1 research institution, basically meaning the amount of research funding that we receive is in the top 10% of universities in the US. So if you're looking at it from a research standpoint, Colorado State is in the same conversation as like a Stanford, UCLA, University of Michigan. Like you can compare us to those universities when it comes to research because we get so much money to conduct research. Now, why that is important to you, say coming in and studying a bachelor's degree in physics, is that you'll get the opportunity to do research at your bachelor's level, where historically a university who maybe has less research funding, you you have to wait until you're getting your master's degree. A lot of the research is reserved for students doing a master's or a graduate program. Whereas here, because we have so much research money, um, a lot of our undergraduate students are able to conduct research, which is really helpful for applying to master's programs or applying to jobs, because you're going to have experiences from a research perspective that other students may not have. So I know universities like to say, yeah, like, we're tier 1 and we get, X amount of dollars for research, and you as a student have no idea what that means. Like it's just something we put on a brochure, but that is what that means. It allows you to do research at the undergraduate level because we just have so much money to do so.
Participant.
Hi, I'm Irene. So my question to you is, I want you to describe campus life at Colorado State University, as well as accommodations that you guys offer to international students. I mean, I'm sure you understand that as an international student, it's really important for us that we are provided with safety at campus and, let's say, accessibility. As a Muslim student, we're gonna need halal food and all that. So what options do you guys provide?
Yeah, good question. I'll kind of answer that from easiest to longer answer. So like halal food, we have it. We have 7 cafeterias on our campus. Um, we have a lot of Muslim students at Colorado State, so you will not be the first one coming in and eating halal food. So we can provide that. In terms of, say, like safety and, you know you're a Muslim woman, and what does that look like? And in terms of room assignments, we have 13 different residence halls on our campus. And let's say if you decide to attend Colorado State and you're filling out the housing application, they're going to be very extensive in what they ask you. And you're going to say, hey, do you want to live with another international student? Do you prefer to live with another Muslim woman? Do you want to live with an American student? I mean, they will absolutely break down, based on your preference. Okay, and then they'll make assignments kind of that they'll match you with another student who, based on their answers, would be the best fit for you. Um, that's something that we don't take lightly. If you're not happy with your room assignment, we'll change you. Um, and then in terms of safety, I mean, we have the city police, and then we have the campus police. And then in order to get to your room, you have to get through 3 levels of safety. You have to get through the door to the residence hall, the door to your floor, and then obviously the door into your room. So it's pretty secure in order to even get to your room. Um, and then on top of that, I've lived here for 7 years. I mean, Fort Collins, Colorado, where we're located, it's just not that dangerous of a place. We have 170,000 population, 35,000 students. The vast majority of the people that live here are either students or, like myself, associated with the university. It it does nobody no good, if it's a crime-ridden place, because nobody will come to the university, which is the main economic driver of our town. And so, um, I walk around at night, I bike to work. A lot of times, I'll forget to lock my door to my house, and it's just not a problem. It's not a very it's not a it's a safe place. It really is. I know I'm supposed to say that, uh, but I can assure you it's not a dangerous spot. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and pretend to be an economist and guess where the economy is going to go, but absolutely, we've had, I mean, the worst inflation in the U.S. in 20 years, and I don't know this because I can't prove it, but I would be willing to bet that we being the United States, a lot of international students as a result of that for this fall. Um, it it is getting better. By that, I mean it's going down by tenths of a percent. But a degree that cost you, I'm making up a number, 40,000 2 years ago now costs you 55,000. I mean, that's a big deal, right? And we know that. So so Denver, US specifically, I just want to make clear we are 1 hour north of Denver. So when I talk about Denver, I'm not necessarily talking about Colorado State University, because we are not located in the same place. But Denver has been one of the fastest growing cities in the United States. And kind of like you mentioned with Oregon, when there's a lot of people moving to the same area all at once, prices, especially real estate prices, shoot up very quickly. Um, that is what's been happening in Denver. It's been happening to a degree here in Fort Collins, although not as quickly, because, like I said, we're an hour removed. Um, but when I sit here and tell you that Colorado, there's a lot of people moving here, I'm not lying. After COVID, there were a lot of people that left the coasts because it just, they deemed it wasn't worth it anymore. And they moved to places like Texas and Colorado because they're just good places to live. So it is getting better for sure. And this actually leads into the scholarship question, because we understand the inflation and how that impacts, student and families' abilities to pay. Uh, we will increase our scholarships for the fall 2023 term. Very simply, if a student from Pakistan, or a student from any country, applies and gets accepted, they will automatically be considered for our scholarships. They range from about 2,000 up to 14,000. Now, one thing that's really important is that we give away the higher scholarships earlier in the year. And so, I always tell students to apply, by December 1st, because any student admitted before then is going to be in line to receive our highest scholarships. So you can kind of think of it as we move throughout the year, our funding becomes less and less. And so, we want to give somebody a big scholarship early, so they can come back and say, yeah, I think this is good, I'd like to come to Colorado State. Or they can say no, no thanks, but no thanks. And that's okay too, because then we can reallocate that money to somebody else. And then one final thing I'll talk. So for fall 2023, for the first time, we are going to give away, we're still working this out, I'm going to say 5 to 8 50% scholarships, so half tuition scholarships. Um,
On average,
because very
that costs the student if he gets 50% scholarship.
50%. So our tuition, well, it would cost, let's say 30. So that'd be $15,000 in tuition.
It's very reasonable.
Yeah. So Yeah, so I mean, the inflation question and the scholarship question go hand in hand, because we know it's getting a lot harder for students to pay. And so in order for us to close that gap, we need to be a little bit more flexible with our scholarships. And we're trying to do that, understanding that there's external state level factors that are at play here as well. But we I mean, I would say historically, we don't really struggle to get applications from students from Pakistan. We love them. We love Pakistan students. We love that they come from, the national or the A-level curriculums. I mean, they are great students. They speak great English. Where we historically have struggled is being able to scholarship them enough to make Colorado State an affordable option. And that's something that we're working on. We're not going to be able to meet the needs of everybody, but if we can meet the needs of 3 to 5 more students, we think that that's going to be a win for both the students and us. As an international student on an F1, which is an F1 visa, student visa, you can work up to 20 hours per week. That's not Colorado law. That's just like U.S. immigration. You're on an F1 visa rule. What you're going to get paid, that does vary by state, because the minimum wage is different from state to state. And then also like your job. I mean, we have a couple international students in our office that work 10 hours a week. So, I mean, they could work up to 20, but it's just their life, I guess, they're choosing, and their class schedule doesn't, they don't want to, and that's okay. I think what is a common misconception, and I'm really glad you brought this up, is I can't tell you how many times I get the email of, hey, thanks for admitting me, thanks for the scholarship, do you have any higher scholarship? And sometimes we can go higher, but really what they're asking is how do I close this financial gap? And they'll say, well, I can just work on campus. And yes, you can. But if you're going to get a job, or if you're thinking that you're going to get a job to pay, our on-campus housing for a year is $12,000 to $13,000. Like, you're just not going to make that much money. And so, yeah, extra money for food. Maybe you could buy a textbook or two. Like going out, having fun money. Yeah, that's what an on-campus job can get you. But the thought that it's going to help you pay tuition or housing, it's probably not going to be enough to kind of make a dent in that area. And to go further, a lot of you probably know this, but I just want to say it again because it's really important. In order for us to issue our immigration documents, you have to prove that you can pay for 1 year's worth of tuition, right? Which is the cost of attendance, minus any scholarships that you can get. So we're not factoring in an on-campus job because it's also not a guarantee that you're going to get one. There's a lot of them available, and I think if you really want a job, you will get one, but it's not a guarantee, and it's not something that we can factor into the releasing of our immigration documents to you.
Okay, this question was sent by Michelle, and she is asking, how does your university add value to me? And tell me something about university and community life.
What was the second part of that question, Nadeem? I'm sorry.
The first part says, how does CSU add value to me as a student? And
Yeah.
secondly, how is the university life and community life there? I think she is talking about the satisfaction index that students have. I think she's referring to that.
Yeah. I mean, we do surveys at the end of every year, and then we do surveys of our graduate students, and or the students that graduate. 90+% say they would come back and go to CSU again. And I think that has to do two factors. One, I keep saying the same thing, but Colorado's just a really nice place to live. It's not, we have Denver, our capital, which is about 3 million people, but it's nothing compared to Karachi. I mean, I've been to Karachi multiple times. I mean, we don't have a city in the United States that compares to Karachi. We just don't. And so, like, in terms of like being out in green space, walking around, riding your bike, getting to natural areas, like beautiful areas. I mean, this isn't something that we just do on vacation. It's something that we get up and live every day. I mean, I can see the mountains right here. And so I think that that factors into kind of this everyday quality of life that, you know, it's kind of under the surface, but it's always there. I mean, when you can get up every day and just walk across a green lawn to your classes, I mean, that's a big deal. Over the course of 4 years, I mean, that I think creates a positive experience. Um, and then on top of that, the academics are really good. You know, whether you're, I mean, our top 5 programs, I mean, we have 200 of them, but our top 5 for international are computer science, mechanical engineering, biology, psychology, and business. I mean, all of those are going to have research opportunities, internship programs, co-op programs. We have people in our career center that specifically work with international students to get them jobs and internships. Because, you know, the work visa process is a lot different than a domestic student. So, I mean, I think it's a combination of all of those factors that add value. Our average starting salary for international students is around 60,000 USD per year. That's an average across all of our majors. So you know, when I talk a lot about CSU, I know international students want to focus on the academics purely, which is good. We want you to come here and get a degree, but I think life outside of the classroom is just as important because you're not going to be studying all the time. And we don't want you to study all the time. That sounds horrible, right? We want you to have a little bit of fun too. And so I think the environment, you know, around the campus and around the town is just as important as what you're doing in the classroom.
So thank you very much indeed for this, and hopefully we are going to edit this video and we will upload it, and I'm definitely going to share a link. You take very good care of yourself. God bless you, your family, and your country.
All right. Well, thanks, Nadeem. I appreciate it. It's good to reconnect. And to the students, it was good to see you all as well. And good luck on your applications. And let me know if I can help in any way. So have a good rest of your night. And now I'm going to go back to work.
Thank you very much. Take care.
All
Bye-bye.
right. Thank you all.